My girlfriend said carelessly. He's just my friend. You're overthinking for no reason. I replied calmly. Yeah, maybe you're right. But later, I hired a private investigator to follow them. And what he found changed everything. I'm 27, been with Lauren for 3 years. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop party in Brooklyn, one of those warm summer nights where everything feels possible. She worked in marketing for a startup. I was doing financial consulting. We clicked immediately. She was funny, ambitious, had this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile. We moved in together after 18 months, got a decent place in Astoria with exposed brick and windows that actually opened. Everything was good, really good, until about 4 months ago when she started mentioning this guy from her gym, Derek. At first it was casual. Derek showed me this new workout today, or Derek says I should try intermittent fasting. I didn't think much of it. Lauren had guy friends. I trusted her. But then it became constant. Derek this, Derek that. She started going to the gym more. 5 days a week turned into 7. She'd come home later, sometimes not until 9 or 10 at night. We grabbed smoothies after, or a bunch of us went for dinner. When I suggested joining her at the gym one Saturday, she got weird about it. Said it was her personal time, and she needed space to clear her head. That's when my gut started screaming. One night in early September, I came home early from work. She was on the couch, texting, and when she saw me, she literally jumped and flipped her phone face down. Who's that? I asked, trying to sound casual. Just Derek. He's asking about protein powder recommendations. At 8:30 at night? She looked at me with this expression, like I'd just accused her of murder. Are you seriously starting this? He's my friend. We talk about fitness stuff. That's it. Lauren, you're texting him more than you text me. Because you never want to talk about anything interesting anymore. You just come home, eat, watch TV, and go to bed. Derek actually cares about self-improvement. That stung. But I backed off. I didn't want to be that boyfriend. The insecure, controlling one. 2 weeks later, she told me she was going to a fitness seminar in Manhattan on a Saturday. All-day thing, wouldn't be home until late. I said fine, have fun. But something felt off. I couldn't shake it. I did something I'm not proud of. I checked our phone bill online. Lauren's texts to Derek's number. I'd seen it pop up on her screen enough times to recognize it. Averaged over 200 messages a week. 200. The calls were worse. Long ones, sometimes 40 minutes. Always when I wasn't around. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, that I was manufacturing problems. But then why was my stomach in knots every time she picked up her phone? I talked to my buddy Jason about it. He's divorced, went through something similar. He gave me a name, a private investigator he'd used. Look, man, he said, either you find out you're crazy and you can relax, or you find out the truth and you can move on. But this limbo, it'll kill you. The investigator's name was Tony. Retired cop, ran a small firm out of Queens. I met him at a diner, showed him photos of Lauren and gave him Derek's info that I'd pieced together from social media. Tony didn't judge, didn't ask questions. Just said it would be $1,500 for a week of surveillance. I paid him. Update 1. Tony called me 4 days later. It was a Wednesday, around 2 in the afternoon. I was in a meeting, but I stepped out when I saw his number. You're going to want to sit down for this, he said. My heart dropped into my stomach. They met at a coffee shop in Chelsea at 11 this morning. Stayed for an hour. Very close, lots of touching. Hand-holding. Then they walked 6 blocks to the Modern House Hotel on 28th. Checked in together. I've got photos. They're still inside. I couldn't breathe. The hallway at my office suddenly felt like it was closing in. You sure it's them? Positive. I can send you the photos now if you want. Send them. My phone buzzed 30 seconds later. There she was. Lauren, my Lauren, walking hand in hand with some tall, muscular guy with a man bun. Another photo, them kissing outside the hotel entrance. Another, walking through the lobby, his hand on her lower back. I left work. Told my boss I had a family emergency. Took the subway into Manhattan, got off at 28th Street, walked straight to the Modern House Hotel. I don't know what I was planning. Confrontation? Evidence. Maybe I just needed to see it with my own eyes to believe it. The hotel was one of those trendy boutique places, all minimalist design and industrial lighting. I sat in the lobby, pretending to look at my phone. Tony texted me the room number, 408. I waited. An hour passed. Then another. I ordered a coffee from the attached cafe, just to look normal. At 4:17, the elevator doors opened. They stepped out together. Derek saw me first. His face went confused. Then Lauren turned, and I watched the color drain from her face like someone had pulled a plug. "Hey," I said, standing up. She froze. Literally stopped moving. Derek looked between us, clearly trying to figure out what was happening. "What are you doing here?" Her voice came out small, shaky. "Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. Thought you had a work thing today. Something about a new campaign strategy meeting." That's what she'd told me this morning. I'd kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, and she'd looked me right in the eyes and lied. Derek stepped forward. "Look, man, I don't know what." "Shut up," I said. I wasn't yelling. My voice was calm, cold. "I'm not talking to you." Lauren's eyes were filling with tears. "This isn't. We can talk about this at home." "No. We're talking now. Here." "How long?" "Please, not here." "How long?" She looked down. 2 months. 2 months. While I was sleeping next to her. While we were making plans for Thanksgiving with my family. While I was looking at engagement rings online because I thought she was the one. "Did you sleep with him?" "Please. Did you sleep with him?" She nodded, barely, tears streaming down her face now. I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out bitter, hollow. You know what's crazy? I almost convinced myself I was paranoid. That I was the problem. "You're really good, Lauren. Really convincing." Derek tried again. "Listen, we didn't mean for this to." "I don't care what you meant." I cut him off. "I don't care about your story or your justifications. You're nothing to me. You're just some guy who sleeps with other people's girlfriends. Congratulations." I looked back at Lauren. She was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. "I loved you. I was going to marry you. And you threw it away for gym hookups." "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. Repeatedly. For 2 months. Every time you lied. Every time you texted him in front of me. Every time you came home and acted normal." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Don't come home tonight. Actually, don't come home at all. Pack your stuff when I'm at work. Leave your key. We're done." I walked out before she could respond. Update 2. The next few days were a blur. I texted Jason, told him what happened. He came over that night with whiskey and listened while I talked for hours. I called out of work on Thursday and Friday, told them I had the flu. Lauren tried calling 37 times in 2 days. Left voicemails begging to talk, saying she'd made a mistake, that she'd end things with Derek, that we could go to couples therapy. I blocked her number after the first day. She did pack her stuff while I was out. When I came home Friday evening, half the apartment was empty. Her clothes, her books, her stupid ceramic plant pots she'd insisted on buying. She left the key on the kitchen counter with a note. I threw it away without reading it. My friends rallied. Jason, Mike, Theo, they took turns checking on me, bringing food, making sure I wasn't spiraling. Mike had been through a bad breakup last year, so he got it. "It gets easier," he kept saying. "Not fast, but it does." What bothered me most wasn't even the cheating. It was how stupid she'd made me feel. All those times I'd questioned my instincts, told myself I was overreacting, apologized for bringing it up. She'd gaslight me for months, made me feel crazy for noticing obvious red flags. Jason suggested I post about it somewhere, just to get it out. So here I am. The weirdest part? On Sunday, Derek's wife reached out to me on Instagram. Yeah, wife. Update 3. Her name was Stephanie. She'd found my profile through Lauren's account. Apparently Lauren hadn't been smart enough to scrub her social media before everything went down. Stephanie's message was short. "I think we need to talk. Please call me." I stared at that message for 20 minutes before responding. What could this woman possibly want from me? But curiosity won out. We met at a Starbucks in Midtown on Monday evening. Stephanie was 32, blonde, put together in that corporate way that screamed high-powered job. She worked in pharmaceutical sales. She and Derek had been married for 4 years. "I found out 3 days ago," she said after we ordered. Her voice was steady, but I could see the pain underneath. He left his laptop open. Saw messages to someone named L, confronted him. He confessed everything. "I'm sorry," I said. It felt inadequate. "Don't be. I'm glad I know." She took a sip of her coffee. He tried to blame it on our marriage being stale, said he felt unappreciated. Classic cheater excuses. Lauren said similar things to me. That I was boring, that I didn't care about self-improvement. Stephanie laughed darkly. "Derek told me I'd let myself go after we got married. I'm a size 4. I run marathons. But sure, I'm the problem." We talked for 2 hours. Comparing timelines, sharing stories, finding strange comfort in mutual betrayal. She'd already filed for divorce. Derek was living with his brother, begging for another chance. Here's what I'm thinking, Stephanie said, leaning forward. Derek works at that gym where they met. Elite Fitness in Union Square. His boss doesn't know he's been sleeping with members. That's against their contract, could get him fired. You want revenge. I want consequences. There's a difference. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to move on, forget this whole mess. But another part, the part that still felt humiliated and angry, wanted them to feel something too. What did you have in mind? Update 4. Stephanie had copies of Derek's messages to Lauren. Explicit ones, sent during work hours from the gym's Wi-Fi network. She'd also found out that Derek had done this before, slept with at least 2 other gym members during their marriage. We drafted an email. Professional, factual, attached evidence. Sent it to the gym's owner on Tuesday morning. Derek was fired by Wednesday afternoon. Stephanie heard through his brother that Derek had a full meltdown, screaming about how his life was ruined, how he'd done nothing wrong, how everyone was overreacting. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Lauren found out, of course she did, and sent me a long email from a new address I hadn't blocked. She called me vindictive, said I was destroying people's lives, that Derek had a family to support. I almost replied, almost pointed out that Derek's wife was leaving him because of his own choices, not mine. But I deleted it instead. Stephanie and I stayed in touch. Not as friends exactly, but as people who'd survived the same shipwreck. She kept me updated on the divorce proceedings. Derek was trying to fight for alimony, claiming he'd sacrificed his career for their marriage. Her lawyer laughed him out of the mediation. Meanwhile, Lauren had moved back to her parents' place in Connecticut. Mutual friends told me she was devastated, that she'd realized she'd made a huge mistake, that she wanted me back. Too late. Final update. It's been 3 months since that day in the hotel lobby. I'm doing okay. Not great, but okay. I moved out of our apartment. Too many memories, too much Lauren everywhere I looked. Found a studio in Long Island City with a view of the skyline. It's smaller, more expensive, but it's mine. Fresh start. Work helped. I threw myself into projects, stayed late, took on extra clients. My boss noticed, gave me a promotion in early November. More money, better title, proof that focusing on myself was the right call. I've been on a few dates. Nothing serious, just testing the waters. It's strange, learning to trust again. Every time someone takes too long to text back or acts distant, my brain goes to worst-case scenarios. But I'm working on it. Started seeing a therapist in October, Jason's recommendation. She's helping me process everything, understand my patterns, rebuild my confidence. Stephanie finalized her divorce last week. She texted me a photo of the papers with a champagne emoji. Derek's living with his parents now, working at some corporate gym chain for half his previous salary. Stephanie got the apartment, the car, and most of their savings. As for Lauren, I heard she's dating someone new. Some guy from her hometown. Part of me hopes she's different with him, that maybe she learned something. But honestly, I don't care enough to find out. The biggest lesson? Trust your gut. When something feels off, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you you're crazy for noticing reality. And if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm not bitter anymore. Angry phase passed. Sadness phase is fading. Now I'm just relieved. Relieved I found out when I did. Before I proposed. Before we bought a house together. Before our lives got even more tangled. Sometimes trash takes itself out. You just have to let it go. Edit 1. People keep asking if I ever read Lauren's note. I didn't. Still haven't. Jason says I should foreclosure, but I don't need it. Her actions told me everything. Edit 2. Derek apparently tried to add me on LinkedIn last week. Blocked immediately. Some people truly have no shame. Edit 3. For everyone asking about Tony the PI. Yes, he's real. Yes, he's worth the money. No, I won't share his contact info publicly. If you genuinely need help, DM me.